But we're going to do an update to our little Spellground situation here, because I did review the last black ONYX V8, or I think yeah, V8, but it was the stitched variant. So very good mat, one of my favorite mats that I use. However, they recently made V8 unstitched, so they made it in tan and the gray. I missed out on both of those, unfortunately. I just didn't see the Facebook posts. My bad, I guess. You know, with those mats, you really have to be pretty on top of it. However, I did get this. It's a Lavender playmat. They held pre-orders for this for pretty long, so I was able to. And I really like the color scheme. It's like this blue, or sorry, this pink and this purplish color pinking or inking through the mat. But the best part about it is that it is unstitched. And if you watched my last review, go check it out. Link in the description if you haven't already, because we're going to be comparing the mats, but I think it's good to have context on the V8 that we're going to be comparing. And we're also going to have something to say about the V7 too, because we did review that at one point. I think that a lot of people have been wanting unstitched Spellgrounds for a while now. They haven't really had them, I think, since the V6 line, and people generally prefer the stitch. If you go on the Spellgrounds Facebook group, you know, before basically up until 2 months ago when they announced the unstitched variety of the V8, basically every post was people just going like, not gonna buy, I don't want this, it's stitched, we hate stitching is bad. And you can really feel however you want about stitching. I think that generally stitching is worse for the mats for several reasons that people don't even mention. I think the one that people do mention is that the fact that stitching makes your mat plop up more, which we will show in the comparison. However, I think that the most damning thing about stitched mats is that they catch. They catch on your card sleeves, which are sharp. So your stitching is going to come undone after a while, which makes the mat itself not look as great as much. And if you have a good compound and a good bind on an unstitched mat, it just blows out a stitched mat out of the water, in my opinion, and makes it so that, you know, it's just objectively better. So we're going to compare them and see how they are. I've used this mat actually for about a month now. I didn't just open it, so you aren't going to get the live unboxing. However, let's just get right into this and check out the playmat. All right, we are here now with the playmat. This is what you'll get if you buy it secondhand. I don't think you can really buy this on the website, but this is how most Spellgrounds come. So obviously this is just going to be a general review of the V8 unstitched playmats. I think that the V8 mat that we have right here, that we will also be comparing it to, in my review I said I love the V8. I think that the V8 looks amazing. I think that the playmat, it really does a great job of just looking like an old school Spellgrounds while giving it a nice and modern like kind of touch to it. I think that the stitching is the only thing that really holds down in like this mat, this ONYX. So that's why I kind of hope that, you know, I'm not going to try to get ahead of myself, but I do hope they release this in an unstitched for the people who want it. So let's get into this. This is the playmat. It comes in obviously the bag that they always do, obviously with the V8s. They ship it out in this like little USPS parcel. Not the best shipping, but not the best protection, but obviously it's to get the shipping down. I think it's always like an $8 flat rate shipping price, which, I mean, you gotta do what you gotta do, I guess. You know, Spellgrounds, I remember seeing them, they were like $15 for the V1s back in the day, and now they're like $70. So they are definitely up in the price range. They are more expensive. I mean, you can get the YY Drizzle playmats for about $54. However, and those are super nice as well. Those are on the aftermarket going for $150. I think that the quality of Spellgrounds, you know, with the V8 really just makes the price worth it. I actually didn't think the V7 was worth it. I don't like V7. I think I think the material is pretty bad, and I think the stitching isn't great, and the backing is not great. So I'm not a fan of the V7s. I would recommend staying away from the V7s. I think that they are the worst Spellground line. But I think that with the V8s, Khalsa Brain, everyone over there, shout out to them. They did an amazing job making the V8s, and that continued on to this mat. So we'll get right into it, and then we'll get into the comparison. I know that was a bit long-winded, but we gotta explain this. Spellground Playmat Classic V8. 2-player mat is great for protecting valuable trading cards and board game title boards and cards. Khalsa Brain Games reprises its 2-player original Spellground fabric in this newly minted Spellground Classic on our latest V8 fabric. Staying as true as possible to the original mat's look and feel, we've brought back a piece of collectible card game history. Jeff Brain's original art graces the recreation to our soft-to-the-touch full-size playmat. We've even scanned the texture of the original V1 mat to recreate the molded look. That's exactly what I was talking about. So definitely something to consider, which is really nice. kbgames.com if you guys want to check out more of their stuff. I had harsh words for the V7s there, but not gonna lie, I love the V8s. Like, I think they did an amazing job, and I'm not sponsored. So I personally never owned an unstitched mat basically before this, so I had nothing really for reference. I know coming back to Yu-Gi-Oh in 2022, as a kid when I was into Yu-Gi-Oh, everybody liked to use Spellground, so I wanted to use. Oh my god, there's a fucking fly there. So everybody used Spellground, so I wanted to use a Spellground, or buy a Spellground now that I have money and I'm an adult. So the V7s were the current line, and I ended up getting a gray and blue there, and honestly, I liked it for the time. It was very smooth, like the traction was not bad on those, but then I got V8, and I got the V8 ONYX, I got the V8 Tan, also that was about it, and they just blew it out of the water. So what we have here is, obviously it's the 2-player mat, and you guys can see it is very much just like the standard. This is obviously the standard 2-player, but I do want to zoom in on the inking here and the look of the mat. You guys can see that molded textured look, but look at that inking. I think that they did a pretty phenomenal job with that. It's super dark, super rich. The purple is super nice. You guys can see right here as well with the chalices, just like look at how deep that is. Very good. Like, this will stay for a while on the mat. Like, these will be there's a reason why Spellgrounds resell for so much after, like, they stay nice for the most part. Now I'm gonna zoom down here, show you guys the little graveyard. I don't know if you guys can notice though, something I have been noticing up front is you guys see these little specks on my mat. It's not dirt, it's a pink fuzz. So I've never had this happen with a playmat before. I don't think this happened with my V8 Tan. So I do want to preface this because I think this is a QC issue with the pinks more than anything, because on both my Tan and my ONYX, these do not happen. And when I show you guys the comparison, you guys will see there's no little fuzzies here and there. I might have to contact Spellgrounds about that if that actually becomes an issue, but for right now it's pretty fine. I don't really notice it. It's not like my Spellground is degrading. I feel like that might just be normal wear and tear. There is just something to note with the Lavender here in particular, and this might be the case with other models. I would just say that the ONYX and the Tan do not have this issue. Maybe it's a unstitched issue. Maybe that genuinely might just be the thing. It's just the unstitched fabric might be a little bit different, but I feel like this is different than that. So because this is pretty similar actually in terms of thickness to the Tan. I do want to show you guys the back here too quickly before we show the comparison. I love the back. I think this is one of the best parts. Outside of just like obviously the mat itself. You guys will see in the comparison that this is really nice compared to the other ones. This gives you it's nice and thin, so you guys can see. we'll show you guys in comparison, but this is super thin and light. I mean, it has, but the thing is, it's the V8 fabric, so it has a heft to it. But because it's unstitched, it's really like it, and it doesn't have that old backing. It's like the perfect weight. Like, honestly, this is like the perfect just kind of feeling for a playmat, in my opinion. I do want to note a couple other things too before we get into the comparison that I've noticed. Creasing. So the V8s have been very good to me so far with creasings. So on my two V8s prior to this, these absolutely have no creasing issues, which is super nice actually. I'll be able to show you guys in the image, but that was one of my biggest issues with the V7s as well that I didn't even mention up front, is that they just creased way too much. So I think that these were the V8s. It's one of the best fabrics out there for a card game mat, in my opinion, and most people should be looking into it. The V8 in particular, I'd say. I don't have experience with models before that. I know people love the V1s, the V2s, the V3s, and all that fun stuff, but I think that if you want a modern, like, brand new playmat for a pretty cheap price, these are obviously the way to go. Now you're just choosing between the stitched and the unstitched, and the stitched ones don't have creasing issues. This one in particular has not, I wouldn't describe it as a creasing issue, but you guys can see. I mean, maybe I just need to iron it out. This could be a thing where I just need to iron it out. However, I've never needed to iron these. I needed to iron my V7 basically after every other use in order to keep my playmat not from creasing or staying creased. And that's not good for the playmat, in my opinion, as much as people might tell you. I don't think putting high degree of heat to a glue-based, like, kind of construction that's holding the mat together is a good idea. So for a long run. So I don't want to have to crease to have to do that if I don't have to. And these playmats are super nice for that reason. Like, I don't know if it's the stitching or not, but like, if I have to deal with the stitching to get not creased, I mean, that is what it is. But like, these are super nice. I'll show you guys, but you guys can see there is creasing here. It's not that bad. You guys can see right there. You guys can see right there. You guys can see right there. And I want to preface this, like I said, if I take an iron to this, it will be fine. Will it get creased again? Probably. I think that the backing and how thin it is kind of just lends to a more rigid fold, if that makes sense. That's just my hypothesis. More mat heads can tell me down in the description or the comments, please. But unfortunately, this mat does crease, and I think that might be where there could be improvements for future unstitched, because I don't think they've exactly solved the material. It's really nice though. It's like super, like I don't regret my purchase. It's just like the creasing does slightly annoy me. But between the backing and just the feel of the mat on top of the fabric, it's still the V8. Super nice, super good card feel. We'll show you guys with some cards after the comparison. Or here, we'll show you guys cards now. It really, obviously, it just depends on your sleeves a lot of the time, but I got KMCs here, which are very common. I do use Ultra Pros in general, but yeah, I mean, super nice feel. I think these are kind of a little bit old, but you guys can see there's a little bit of drag, but I think this is with like a somewhat old, these are with like not exactly new, but these are still pretty clean, I'm not gonna lie. So, you know, I think that was always the thing with the V8s. You guys saw that in the V7 and V8 comparison in my last video. You know, there's a slower drag with these V8s, but I think that's fine. I think the feel and overall construction of the mat all comes together to where, like, yeah, I can't just like whip around my cards, but it makes it for a nice and solid experience. And I think that the unstitched nature of the V8s really put it all together, whereas like the V8s here, they are hefty. I will not lie, and it makes it to where I still like to use, I've been using this as my daily driver. you know, the creasing is one thing, but stitching is another. So this is my ONYX. There's actually similar degrees to creasing here. So you know what? I'm going to say the creasing definitely happens on both sides of the aisle of the mats. I've had this in the Playmat for a while, to be fair though, and I think that when I was playing with this basically as a daily driver, the creases came out. Like I think these V8s have a very good way of getting out the creases. You guys can see already the creasing is already almost out. So now let's do a little card comparison. Is there any difference between the playmats? Probably not. Huh? This is a little light, but to be fair, this is with a glossy backing. So I guess with the glossy backing, you know, these work just fine. That was with a matte backing. Now let's show a matte backing. Yeah, so I think it's basically just perfect in terms of just like how the fabric feels either way. I'm going to cut out that part because I think that the creasing, you guys can see it's basically similar levels of creasing, and you'll always get that with playmats. So I think that those are things that you can always consider. I'm not responsible for your playmat, but there are ways to get out creases. So we can compare then the V8 tan here. And this is my favorite mat one of my favorite mats, to be honest. Like, I will say though, let's show off the yeah, you guys can see the creasing basically the same. I think this one creases slightly less. This one's like so nice. That's why I love this mat. It really is just super nice mat. Look at that. Super nice. Barely any creasing, honestly, on this one, which is super nice. You guys can see how, yeah, no, this is actually a better comparison for what I was trying to say before, because there is basically no creasing on this playmat actually, which is super nice. So you guys can see, this is why this is my favorite playmat, because it stays uncreased. The issue is, of course, the stitching. So you guys can see the stitching is already raising a little bit, like getting a bit hairy. That was not how it was already. So, I think it will probably be fine in my use. I won't use it enough to where it's gonna like really start fraying, but that's always the issue. I would say if they could make a V8 unstitched that basically stays uncreased as much as like these, I'd be really happy. Obviously, you could still see some creasing in here. I just think that it wears the crease a lot better because maybe the thickness of the mat, that's probably what it is. But the unstitched, it really it really points out the creasing a little bit. So, but I would say, like I said, I love these V8 unstitched. I don't want to sound harsh at all. I think these are fantastic playmats, and you guys should buy one if you can, honestly. And like I said, I'm not sponsored by KB Games. I think they just make amazing products. So, it's worth the premium. You're paying for very good quality. The playmats that will be good across time as long as you do your basic diligence and, take care of your playmats. There's not really a lot of upkeep with these things. So, what rating would I give the V8 stitched and unstitched at this point? Because I guess this is a little bit of an update review on the V8 unstitched, or stitched versions. Obviously we're here for the Lavender V8 stitched, or unstitched. So I will say up front, I love the mat. It's very good. It's a lot lighter than this, frankly. Like let me show you guys a comparison of what they look like folded up, and the backing is way better on these. I think that the V8 stitched obviously could do a little bit better in terms of just like the crease wear into it, but honestly it's not that bad. It's not as bad as a V7, so like very much dealable, and it's just fine. I would also say, like I said, like these small little fuzzies, I think that might just be a Lavender issue, or maybe it is a V8 unstitched issue. Hopefully they figure that out, because I don't want my playmat falling apart. And honestly, that just might be an effect of me taking out of the bag and it's still just having fuzzies all over it from the bat or from like getting it. I just don't think that's the case because I've been using this for a month. So just things to consider. So yeah, I would give this like basically a 9 out of 10. It is very much a very good mat. It's going to be great for Yu-Gi-Oh, Magic, any kind of card game, Pokemon. Your cards are going to feel great. They're not going to get dirty, and you're going to look great with them. You're going to get compliments. And the quality of them are very great across time. So yeah, let me show you. Yeah, that's like very much, I mean, obviously my full job doesn't give it justice, but this is definitely thicker than that. So yeah, no, I think that these are very good options. I'd personally prefer the V8 stitched. Or unstitched right now, obviously. I just think that the stitching really with the fraying is not great, but however, I still think these are amazing mats. Like this, the tan, like I said, the tan is actually my favorite probably out of all of these. Like the tan I'd give like a 9.5 just because whatever they did, man, the fabric is so good on this one, but it doesn't come up, like it doesn't have the little fuzzies, it doesn't crease. The V8 ONYX, obviously, I think it has a little bit more of an issue with creasing. But I also think that's mainly because I've been having this in a bag for a while, and it would, the V8 really does, the creasing comes out very easily. This I would give, like I said, a 9 out of 10. So, very good. I would say it's a slight improvement on, this, I would say, and, but very good. I'm glad that we're going to unstitched. I will say that up front. So very much good. Recommended. Look it down in the comments below if you guys want to see or check out their KB Games website where they sell these. Obviously, you can get them on the secondhand market on like eBay and stuff like that too. You can always hit me up on my Discord. I'm actually probably trying to sell one of these mats if any of you guys want to buy the. Actually, that's the thing. I want to sell my tan one. But it's so nice. Like every time I'm like, damn, it's like my nicest mat, even like low key, even though it's a stitched one. But yeah, that's just how it is. That's how the cookie crumbles. It's sometimes like, you win the the playmat lottery, I guess. But with the fabric and all that fun stuff. But yeah. We will be seeing you guys later. Leave a like down below if you guys, and comment down below what you guys thought of the V8 stitch mat and even the unstitched mats. And what was your favorite playmat? Do you guys like the stitching? Do you guys like the unstitched? Let me know down in the comments below. And if this video gets 100 likes, I will make another review on some more playmats and some card sleeves. So make sure to do that. See you guys later.